Well, hello there. Welcome to Broken World Entertainment. And, as you know, Snow White, or what it should be called, Snow Not So White, the live action remake is happening. They haven't finished filming because they are now on strike. But we know that this movie looks like it's going to be yet another live action Disney remake disaster to go on top of The Little Mermaid. One of the big issues we're all looking at right now is, of course, Rachel Zegler, who's out there just saying the dumbest things. This person has now taken the mantle off of Brie Larson to be the most irritating, hateful person. Yes, she has shot up to number one on the list for a kick in the teeth. However, Screenrant, the terrific website, Screenrant has come up with a new reason that the movie will flop. And no, it's not because Rachel Zegler is insufferable with statements like this.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no Prince, or a different kind of Prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because we cast a guy in the movie,
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
No, it's not because Peter Dinklage got his little feelies hurt. Haha, his little feelies. See what I did there? And made them change the 7 dwarfs to become the 7 smelly hippie baristas. Probably vegans as well. No, they have the headline off. Disney's next live-action remake is even riskier after Gal Gadot's Netflix failure. That's right. They're going to have an entire article, which we're going to go over, about the fact that Snow White is in danger of flopping because Gal Gadot, her new movie on Netflix, Heart of Stone, it's not because it's a massive flop or because people hate it or something. It's because it has a bad critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
You've got to be shitting me.
No, I am not shitting you.
Yeah. So, let's have a look at this, shall we? Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot's recent Netflix movie performance doesn't bode well for Disney's live-action Snow White reboot, which stars her as the evil queen. This article is written by one special window-licking retard.
Oh my.
Gal Gadot's casting in Disney's next live-action offering Snow White, or that should be Snow Not So White, could be a bad sign after her recent Netflix failure, Heart of Stone. Audience and critics' enthusiasm for Disney remakes has been flagging in some quarters as the movie giant continues to release mostly uninspired remakes of its classic animated films. This means next year's Snow White could already be on precarious footing. And Gadot's casting as the evil queen only raises more questions about how it will be received. Snow White follows a lackluster performance from this year's live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid, starring Halle Bailey. I'm actually shocked Screenrant even admitted that, but I digress. Which found itself lagging behind other Disney remakes at the box office. In another worrying sign, adapting 1937's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has already proven controversial, with actor Peter Dinklage calling Snow White backwards for its casting of people without dwarfism. Okay, there's a little to look over there, Screenrant. You got that completely wrong. He's not giving out that people who aren't dwarves were cast. He was giving out because they were looking to cast dwarves. He said the backwards part was the fact that they had, and he said, cave-dwelling dwarfs. They were never dwelling dwarfs. I guess he can be the only dwarf in Hollywood nowadays. By the way, this is a guy who is now playing the Toxic Avenger. I shit you not. But anyway, Disney responded that it was taking a different approach to the dwarfs. Yeah, by not making them dwarfs at all. Although casting a big name actress like Wonder Woman star Gal might initially seem to be a strategy to paper over some of those problems, it could in fact actually make matters more risky. Dun dun dun. Snow White's prospects could be rescued with a strong cast, but the filmmaker's choice of lead actresses isn't a particularly good omen. West Side Story Rachel Zegler is playing the Disney princess herself, but her role comes after her recent movie Shazam! Fury of the Gods crashed at the box office. Similarly, Gal Gadot, who has been cast as the villainous evil queen, recently struggled to impress critics with her latest major role in the Netflix movie Heart of Stone, a glossy spy thriller that largely failed to make a dent on the movie scene. Well, what are you expecting? It's a Netflix movie. What kind of dent are you expecting it to make? Moron. Heart of Stone, which follows Gadot as an international agent in the vein of Mission Impossible, did not have the latter's skill in winning over audiences and critics. Currently, Heart of Stone has a 32% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and while audiences generated a kinder 61% rating, the numbers were drastically lackluster. This could signal tides being against the Wonder Woman star, making her a risky choice for Disney's Snow White. Have you ever heard anything as stupid as that? This is one of the stupidest articles I've read in a while. Even more worryingly, Heart of Stone isn't a one-off. Disney's upcoming evil queen hasn't found much critical success since her breakout playing Wonder Woman, as well as being accused of shaky performances in Who Done It, Death on the Nile, and Netflix's Red Notice. Both were successful, by the way. Death on the Nile did quite well, and Red Notice was well received by people. Gadot has also taken on more DC fare in the form of Wonder Woman 1984, Justice League, the Shazam sequel, and The Flash. Let's have a quick breakdown of those. Shazam! Fury of the Gods wasn't actually her, it was a body double. They AI'd her face, and as for The Flash, she's in it for like 20 seconds. So I wouldn't be hanging failures of those movies on her in cameo appearances, which all attracted a lukewarm reception at best. Yeah, she didn't. The films did. Even Gadot's Wonder Woman 3 status generated confusion, as the actress suggested she was returning as the character before reports contradicted her. No, James Gunn clearly is lying again. While Snow White could be a return to form for Disney, there is nothing to suggest the new remake will necessarily do better than fellow Disney princess flick The Little Mermaid, on top of its problems with cultural baggage from the original. Gadot's ropey resume, particularly the criticism aimed at Heart of Stone, is a worrying sign. Zegler was a delight in her breakout role in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake, but Gadot is, unfortunately, proving that she may not be able to carry a movie. It remains to be seen if Snow White can come to the rescue for both Disney and Gadot. What utter trash is that? Rachel Zegler was a delight in her breakout role. Rachel Zegler has starred in nothing but gigantic financial flops. West Side Story was an unmitigated disaster for Spielberg. It crashed and burned at the box office. Shazam! Fury of the Gods crashed and burned at the box office. And you know what the difference is between Rachel Zegler's movies crashing and burning at the box office and Gal Gadot? Zegler was the leads, or at least one of the leads, in both movies. She was the third sister of the three main villains for Shazam, and she was the main actress, lead actress, in West Side Story. They're putting Gadot's failures as the DC movies, you know, the very brief cameos she's made. But what utter shit this is. They try and say, oh, it's gonna fail, but it's gonna fail because of Gal Gadot, not because Rachel Zegler is an unsufferable little see next Tuesday saying stupid things like this.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film. If I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
No, it definitely couldn't be because of that. Or because she in fact was cast and she's not white. Even though Snow White is the fairest of them all. You know, her name is literally named Snow White because of how fair, i.e. white, her skin is. You know, the fairest one of them all, with skin so fair it's as white as snow. And it definitely couldn't be because Peter Dinklage kicked up a fuss that clearly he didn't get a role and got the Seven Dwarfs cancelled. No, it's all going to be because Gal Gadot's latest film on Netflix has a bad critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Sweet Jesus, Screenrant. Talk about a stretch. Anyway, I thought that would be interesting. So, leave a comment. What do you think about this? Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers. Catch you in the next one.